Good evening and welcome. Installment number 14 of a month-long series of virtual panels about life at Boston College from a student perspective. My name is Chris O'Brien. I'm Associate Director of Admissions, and I'm the advisor to the Student Admissions Program. Those other people that you see on this webinar are members of the Student Admissions Program who have volunteered their time, despite the fact that they're not on campus. Trust me. The six of us wish that we could welcome you to Devlin Hall, wish that we could have these great conversations about our community firsthand, right in the middle of Chestnut Hill with beautiful campus whirling around us. But we can't do that right now. So what we've done is we've created these virtual panels throughout the month of April in order to address some of the things that you might be interested in, the future class of 2024. Some of you made a decision. Some of you are still waiting to make a decision. And if that's the case, tick, tick, tick. It's like almost May 1st. Maybe there are things that we'll talk about tonight that might help. And if you've already decided on Boston College, maybe you'll make a few new friends that will welcome you firsthand when you get to campus soon. So we're going to do some introductions. Oh, tonight the title is Boston College in New Jersey. And I know what you're thinking. Why? No. We've done subjects all throughout this month on focusing on the Carroll School of Management, or focusing on study abroad, or focusing on community service. And we've done focus on the West Coast and focus on the Midwest, focus on Boston. You know, one place that we don't give enough credit to is New Jersey. New Jersey is the country's largest exporter of college students. And if it wasn't for New Jersey, Boston College would not run. New Jersey is a very important part of life at Boston College. And while I'm sure there are a lot of running jokes about New Jersey, and I'm not going to participate in one of them. I'm a Boston native, born and raised, so I'm not going to get mixed up in it. But we certainly have to give thanks to our friends from the Garden State, and we're so grateful that so many of them come up to join us. So we're focusing tonight. All of our panelists are from New Jersey. So when you introduce yourself, and this is my segue, your introduction is going to be who you are. And you can use your New Jersey accent if it's strong. My Boston one is very strong. Who you are and where you're from, the high school you went to. People might be interested in knowing what high school you may have graduated from. Your major and your year at Boston College. And then for the finish your introduction, why don't we do something real fun? And I want you to tell me who your favorite person at Boston College is. Leave me out of it, you know, because everyone's going to meet me, but maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's your roommate, maybe it's a coach, an advisor. Just give me 30 seconds on someone who's your favorite right now, your favorite person at Boston College. That way people can get to know a little bit more about our community. So that's your introduction, all right? Makes a lot of sense. So I asked everyone to do introductions in alphabetical order of their first name. So let's have a quick pause and look down at Caroline will get us started. Go ahead, Caroline.
Yeah, so my name is Caroline Ring. I'm originally from Florham Park, New Jersey, and I graduated from the Academy of St. Elizabeth. I'm a senior at BC. I'm in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, majoring in political science and minoring in managing for social impact and the public good. And my favorite person at BC is Kelly Hughes. She is our campus minister for the Appalachia Volunteers Program, and she's just been an incredible mentor and friend to me over the past 4 years, and I love her to death.
Hey, Caroline, while you're still on the microphone, as a senior, we're devastated that you're not with us for senior week, and we'll be back hopefully for graduation Columbus Day weekend. That's the plan.
Fingers crossed.
Any plans? Are you waiting to see? What's the plan for life after Boston College?
That is a great question. Things are still kind of up in the air right now. I have some ideas about next steps, but yeah, I mean, BC's been super helpful with easing the transition back home and then helping us figure out our future steps career-wise. So still a question mark, but I have some plans.
You don't seem anxious and panic-stricken about that step.
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Right now, I'm just focused on graduating. Right now, I just want to graduate, finish the thesis, got it all done.
Fair enough. And I know theses are due very soon as well.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. You're off the hot seat. We'll come back to some other things later, Caroline. Okay, and who's next?
Hi, my name is Mary Claire McNamara. I'm from Millstone, New Jersey. I went to Notre Dame High School. I'm a junior studying economics in the College of Arts and Sciences. and my favorite person at BC is Professor Mahalchuk. I was lucky to have her for Courage to Know my first year at BC, and she was also my advisor for 2 years, so I still pop by every now and again to say hello.
Great. That's a good one. That's a good one. Excellent. All right. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Megan McNamara, and I'm a junior in the Morrisey College of Arts and Sciences originally from Millstone, New Jersey, and I also went to Notre Dame High School. And I'm studying biology and minoring in international studies. And I have a lot of favorite people at BC, but one of my favorite professors was Professor Deek. She teaches organic chemistry at school, and she's one of the greatest supporters of her students and really just wants you to succeed in a class that has the reputation of being a pretty difficult course, and she always helped us and walked us through it, and I'm really grateful to have had the experience to have been taught by her.
Great choice. Great choice. Excellent. Okay, who's next?
Hi guys, I'm Ryan Lade, originally from Morris Plains, New Jersey, and went to Morristown High School. I'm a junior in the Carroll School of Management, studying finance and minoring in applied psychology and human development. And like Megan mentioned, choosing a favorite person is kind of a loaded question. I got so many favorites at BC. If I had to pick one, I might go with Baldwin the Eagle, our mascot. And great supporter of our Division I sports teams, and supporting the football, basketball, hockey teams, among the other sports teams here at school is one of my favorite things to do.
I like that one. I like that one. That's good. That's good. All right. Sophia, last but not least.
Well, hi, you guys. My name is Sophia Ocampo. I am from Medford, New Jersey, and I went to Shawnee High School. I am majoring in biology and minoring in medical humanities, and I am currently a junior. I think I hit all the bullets there. And my favorite person at BC, Megan took mine. It was going to be as well. Love my life. She's
Sorry.
But no, that's okay. I will go with number 2, which is one of my best friends. Her name is Tiffany, and she's also a junior. And I think she really just kind of embodies everything that BC is about, because she gets involved in everything you could possibly name. She's the student vice president. She's in musical theater with me. She does all kinds of amazing stuff. And we still keep in touch, and she somehow finds time to be friends. And I think that really just speaks to the kind of person at BC who just wants to do it all and be the best person they can be.
That's a good choice, and Tiffany's one of my favorite too. All right, so can a couple of you volunteer your college search? You know, you're from Jersey, so tell me a little bit about what you were looking for, how wide a net you had, and what particularly led you to Boston College. So just a couple of you volunteer what it was like for you to search and find Boston College.
Yeah, I can start. So I'm actually a triplet. So I looked at a lot of schools with my siblings. When we were in high school, we started early, and I think I've seen every school within like a 6-hour radius of my house. But I knew that I mostly wanted to stay in the Northeast. And so even though I saw a lot of schools, I kind of narrowed it down when I was applying, and I applied to 6 schools, and they were all mid-sized schools in or around a major city in the Northeast. They were all Catholic Jesuit schools with strong academics and school spirit. So I kind of had a general sense of what I was looking for. But when I stepped on campus at BC, it sounds super cliche, but I tell everyone this. I could just sense that it was different, and the people were just so genuine and kind and caring, and there was just a great sense of community that I hadn't really seen anywhere else. And so it stood out to me that much. As soon as I stepped on campus, I knew that that was where I wanted to go. And so that was definitely kind of found my path at the end and settled on BC, and a best choice I've ever made. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great story. How about someone else? Their journey to Boston College.
I can speak.
Yeah.
All right, go.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll go first. So I was, this is kind of the New Jersey part of it, I guess. I was between BC and a school that's like 40 minutes from my house here in NJ. And it was just kind of down to the wire. And it was really a question of, okay, well, like, where do I want to be? Do I want to be able to like be near my mom who can come see me every once in a while? Or do I want to venture and do something completely new? And obviously I wound up with the latter option there. And in addition to everything that Caroline was saying, with why I chose BC, which I think speaks more to what she was saying, but also there's definitely a lot of pros that go along with going somewhere maybe 4 or 5 hours away from your house. This is something that I never would have experienced had I gone to school close to New Jersey. And you definitely get a lot more out of it, or at least I did. Now I'm a lot more confident in my ability to kind of step outside of my comfort zone and find myself in new places and meet new people outside of New Jersey.
Okay, okay. Megan, go ahead.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with everything that's been said. I think for me, I knew that I wanted to eventually work in healthcare. So Boston was kind of the hub of healthcare. And I was like, let's go. So, and when we went, I kind of didn't know a lot about Boston College, but I was like, I've heard a lot of people have loved it and went there. And we went to one of the summer panels and I absolutely loved it. I think just hearing the student experience is really great. Anytime that you speak to someone from BC, whether it's a professor or a current student or alumni, they just have so much pride about the school. And it really just speaks to the volume of everything that's available to you and just kind of the collective school spirit that everybody has.
Now, I don't know how much of these things figured into your choice, but it seems like in my years of admission, people look for two things. They want to be able to find people like them, but they don't want to be a whole school of people like them. So you want to have some diversity of thought and of ideas and of interest, but you also want to be able to be in a community where you can find the people that you share some common denominators with. You've stayed at BC, for some of you, for the whole duration. Was that what you were looking for? Did I describe what you were looking for in the BC community? And if so, how does it work? How do you find your people? How do you get to know people that are different than you?
I can talk about that a little bit. Chris, that's definitely something that stood out to me about BC during the college decision process, talking about the idea of kind of that Goldilocks fit of like-minded, but then also a diverse mix of people. And it's something that really compelled me to choose BC during my decision-making process, and one that I'm really grateful to have made. I think one thing that stands out about all of my peers at BC is how involved people are, like just across a spectrum. And that's really a great platform and opportunity to connect with a really wide range of people in terms of interests and passions. So I'm a student in the undergraduate business school, as I mentioned, but I've made friends in clubs like Student Missions Program, and then also in service-based activities like Big Brother, Big Sister, as well as intramural sports. So obviously I'm really, grateful and excited about the community that I have within, the business school, but then also have found homes in a variety of activities across campus at BC.
Does anybody else want to add to that?
I would definitely 100% agree in the sense that something that took me the first time I visited Boston College and heard from a panel and took a tour was just when we go around and say where everyone is from, even there's just a different state, different country. It was just so exciting to hear. And then I think something that also keeps us together and sort of that we all share is just this love or interest in Jesuit values and sort of men and women for others throughout the campus. And the vast majority of students love to get involved in service and join a service club and just connect on campus, then off of campus, just traveling outside of Boston and just really making the most of their experience, something that really drew me to Boston College and really has been true throughout my experience thus far.
All right, well, you talked about Boston. Let's hear it. I know you might be partial to other cities that you might grow up near, but now you're Bostonians. Join Red Sox Nation, join all the things that come with Boston if you'd like. But can one or two of you talk about your relationship to Boston? How much you've used it, what do you think of it, how you compare it to other cities that you live near? What has it meant to your experience at Boston College?
Sure, I can kind of speak to that. Like I mentioned, I was really looking for a school that was in or right outside of a major city. That was definitely something that I wanted to be able to take advantage of when I was at college. So I love that BC kind of was a little bit separated from the city, had its own campus, but also in 25 minutes, we could be downtown. And so over the past 4 years, I've absolutely loved going into the city on a weekend or when I have a free day, whether just to go to a Red Sox game or a museum or go shopping or go to a restaurant or concert, something like that. But then also the opportunities that we have in Boston in terms of volunteering doing research, doing internships. I've had 3 internships in my time at BC, all of which have been in downtown Boston, and 2 of the 3 were during the school year. So the fact that I could go to class in the morning and then take the T downtown and get real hands-on experience in a job has been an awesome experience, and something that I don't think I would have had access to if the city wasn't so close and accessible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about someone else?
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed my experience in Boston. I really love that it's also a college town. There's so many universities in and around Boston that you constantly have the opportunity to not only meet students at Boston College, but also meet them at different universities. You can also always go and kind of explore. I really, like, as Caroline said, it's so easy just to hop on the T and just go downtown, even if it's just for a half afternoon, go grab a cup of coffee somewhere, go explore the museums. We do have access to a lot of different opportunities through our Boston College ID. You can go to the Museum of Fine Art for free as much as you like. And also professors really take advantage of that opportunity as well. I know for my history core class, you have something called out of classroom experiences where you go for the day and kind of walk around a museum or go see a talk that's held either at BC or outside of BC, and just write about the experience and how it connects back to the class as well.
You know what yesterday was under normal circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't remind us.
Big day in Boston is the 3rd Monday of April every year, when the marathon usually runs right by campus. And that's a great tradition on our campus, being Mile 21. And so many of our students run the marathon for charity, and just about all of our students support the runners that go by Mile 21. It's such a big day for us. Last night, we talked a lot about traditions at Boston College and how traditions are really what brings the community together. Can one or two of you talk about these traditions and what tradition stands out to you? And maybe if it happened very early in your career, maybe it was a tradition that really hit home with you about the place that you're going to school and a big member of the community of.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So my favorite tradition at BC is something we call the Red Bandana Run. And I'm not sure if any of you guys know this story, but basically we had an alum, Wells Crowther, who fought or was involved in 9/11, and they wound up finding this red bandana on one of the firefighters who was saving people from the towers. And that's kind of how they identified his body. And that was a gross oversimplification of the story. But basically, we have a number of events during the school year, both the run and we have a football game dedicated to him, where we just kind of honor just the bravery that he put into saving so many people from the Twin Towers. And so every October or so, we have this red bandana run. And in high school, I never would have imagined myself running a 5K, but just kind of the community and the togetherness of it really kind of pushed me to do it that one time, and I've been obsessed ever since. I've done it every year. Basically, we all get up super early. We all have our bandanas, red leggings, red everything, and you just run a course around BC's campus, and it's so fun and so together, and such a great way to kind of think about that and honor him and everything that he's done for people. And that's really the kind of alum that we would hope to give out to the world, somebody who would sacrifice all that for others.
That's a great one, Sophia. That means a lot to our community. Anybody else, tradition that means a lot to them? And again, maybe it was early in your career where it really made you feel at home at Boston College?
I would have to say definitely Marathon Monday, even though we had to miss out this year. I remember freshman year, it was pouring, and I felt bad because I was complaining that it was a bit cold and it was raining, but then the runners were still going. So definitely that being my first big experience, just because the race has such a big meaning, not only for Boston College being Mile 21, but also just the larger Boston community, was just something so amazing to be a part of my first year. And definitely of all the past 2 years, it's definitely stuck out in my mind of just being a good time to be with friends, and then also celebrate the larger community and sort of the things they overcome. It was really memorable.
Well, you know, they've rescheduled the race for the fall, so hopefully we all get to celebrate together. That's at least the plan. Caroline, you'll be invited.
Yes, I will be there. If it's happening,
So,
I'll be there.
so here's one of the things I know from being in admissions for as long as I have, is generally the schools in New Jersey are very good. They're some of the best ones in the country. So you guys, I don't even need to do the legwork. You guys are pretty smart. Still, transitioning to the expectations of college professors and getting grades in college, taking the sciences in college, studying business in college, these are tough, tough things. Can a couple of you talk about the academic climate at Boston College, the culture, like how hard you have to work and what kind of work you need to do to meet professors' standards? And was it a big leap from the kind of things that good high schools like you went to asked of you?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that academic transition. The way I've always spoken about it is that I think it's definitely a healthy perspective to approach college academics the same way you approach the transition in general. The biggest factor for me was the additional independence I gained. So the same way that you're on your own, you're not under your parents' roof anymore, being at dorms on Upper Newton. In that same respect, you're also kind of on your own in the classroom too. So there's that transition of being self-reliant on time management and just understanding when you need to be in the library versus pursuing other activities. So that was definitely one of the bigger things that I had to focus on during my first couple of semesters, especially at BC. And I think along with that, there's just the general idea that compared to high school, you have fewer assignments that count for larger chunks of your grade. So in high school, if there was a test or two that got the better side of you, you had a lot more opportunity to make up for that. So in college, there's just a different perspective in that, every test, every assignment counts. So those were the two biggest things for me in the transition. That being said, freshman professors especially are very conscious of the transition and work their hardest to be very accommodating to questions that looking back might seem silly to us now in terms of study habits, how to submit things on Canvas, stuff like that. But they are really great resources throughout your first year at school.
That's good. That's a good answer. Anybody else want to add to that in terms of transitioning from, again, AP classes, strong classes in high school, to what the expectations were of you in college?
Yeah, I think definitely working in the sciences too, for me, that was a different transition of going into a lab and spending 3 hours in a lab in one sitting and trying to learn all the equipment. But everyone at BC is so helpful, especially the professors, the TAs, as well as your fellow peers. I always found some of my best resources were upperclassmen as well as those peers that were in my class currently. I remember coming in freshman year into one of my clubs, and I was just so flustered with taking general chemistry, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is so hard. And one of the upperclassmen in the club sat down. I was like, oh, I completely understand. I was on your track, and she just kind of talked me through it, and kind of was like, this is expected. This is the transition to college, but you're gonna get through it. As well as just going to office hours for your professors. They're so supportive, and you always feel that you're really getting a lot of information, and you always, you always feel just super supportive. And I really much value those office hours and those times that professors set aside and will sit down and walk you through a whole entire problem.
Now, Megan, you talked about upperclassmen. What about classmates, especially in the sciences? Like, I know enough about the Carroll School that there's a lot of group projects and group work. And while everyone's ambitious in the business school, there's enough group work that I think everyone sort of levels out and learns to handle each other, and it's not as competitive. Um, People always talk about how competitive it is in the sciences because everyone's thinking about how these grades might look on a graduate school application or medical school. Have you felt, Sophia, you as well, have you felt that in the sciences it's that much more competitive, or is there collaboration? Are there study groups? Is there a lot of peer support when you're going through organic chemistry or you're going through general chemistry or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, at least I came in to college thinking, oh, wow, like pre-med is so competitive. You always have to be like on top of the pack and everything. And so that was definitely a source of anxiety coming in freshman year. But literally at orientation, before I even got to BC for the start of the semester, me and another kid that I met at orientation, who's now like my best friend, sat down until like 2 a.m. and worked together to find like the best schedule and the best professor and everything, like before day one. So I think that definitely speaks to, you know, like the kids at BC know that that whole thing is ridiculous too, the everybody against each other. That's not how you're going to make it to med school. Like that's a surefire way to burn out in my personal opinion. So yeah, I mean, kids do work together. We are all in the library, all in the same boat, that sort of thing. So it's really nice to know that you're not alone in that. And I think a lot of BC kids have that same mindset.
Listen, again, my work has brought me into contact with a lot of people from New Jersey, and one of the things I like about most people I meet from New Jersey is they're tough, they're resilient. You might beat them at something, but they're going to get you back. They're going to come back at you. They're not going to take failure lightly. Sometimes when you go to college, you don't get an A in every class, you don't win every election, you don't get everything you look for. So can a couple of you tell me, like, we can do the 21st century thing and call it a pivot. Like, when did you pivot at Boston College? But we can also say, is there something that you failed at? Is there something that didn't go your way? And maybe you've made a different direction from, and maybe BC was very helpful in allowing you to make that change from one dead end to something that's been a little bit better for you. Again, if what I know of New Jersey is you don't let these failures or pivots get you down, we move on and you move on better for it. Have any of those things happened to you?
Yeah, for me, what comes to mind kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a failure, but when I first arrived at BC, I went, like every freshman does, to the involvement fair the first week of the semester. And so there's 300 tables of people yelling at you and get involved in their club and putting you on their email listserv. And so I was really excited to get involved, but I kind of fell into routine and basically first semester freshman year recreated or tried to recreate my high school resume and all the clubs that I was involved in high school, which I loved at the time. But with all these new options, I didn't really take the time to explore and try out some new things that I might be interested in. And I actually didn't get most of the positions or accepted into the organizations that I applied for. And so I felt a little bit defeated that first semester, that the things that I thought I wanted to do, I couldn't do. But it actually helped me provide more opportunities and time to find other clubs and organizations that I can get involved in and that I'm even more passionate about. And so at the time, I was a little bit frustrated and disappointed and felt like I had failed a bit. But looking back, I think it was actually a blessing in disguise because now I'm part of a bunch of clubs and organizations that I absolutely love and I'm really passionate about.
Great. How about someone else?
I think definitely for me, freshman fall, I took calculus, which is a prerequisite for the major I ended up econ with.
A calculus story. I could tell you more about if you want.
So I'm sure everyone was, going into BC took some form of pre-calc or calc. So I felt, okay, like I can do this. But I definitely, the first test was not what I was expecting. But I think in terms of failure, it came with me not reaching out for help. Instead, I would sit and try and figure it out on my own instead of saying, let me go to office hours, let me go to a TA, let me get a tutoring session. So I think after the first test, I realized that I need to be more proactive and not just try and sort this out on my own because it's not going to work. And reaching out for help doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you want to learn and you want to improve how you study for the exam. So it's not rote memorization or just doing problems without knowing how to do it or the steps to take. So I think that definitely was an awakening, but it was a good one to have early.
No, it's a good point. You know, something I learned this year from the people at the Connors Family Learning Center is that 2/3 of students at Boston College take advantage of learning resources, tutors, writing advisors. And these are just people that run up against that class. You know, it's calculus for some, it's general chemistry for some, or it's some upper level elective for others. And everybody has their kryptonite, and we're gonna find it. At BC, you're gonna find it. if you're doing BC right, you're going to find that thing that challenges you the most. And if you're from Jersey or anywhere, you're supposed to fight through that. You're supposed to find the resources to make it work. So I found that out, and I guess you did too.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness is right. So when you guys did your introductions, 3 of you were Catholic school children, and 2 of you came from public high school. And I think I'd like a representative of each side to talk a little bit about how they, and Caroline, you probably were the best to talk about it because you were looking for a Catholic school, specifically a Jesuit school. Ryan, Sophia, this may have been a coincidence, or maybe it was something that you caught on to. So Caroline, I'd like to hear a little bit about how it turned out. This is what you wanted. You wanted Jesuit Catholic. Was it a surprise, or did it pay off? And then either Sophia or Ryan, how did this work into your choice, and how has it been being not necessarily from a Catholic school environment, but being at a place at a university that has this mission? Caroline, you first.
Yeah, I think that what really attracted me to these Catholic Jesuit schools were the values that we talked about. So care of the whole person, men and women for others, just the emphasis on discussion and reflection, and being just well-informed people who have strong values and care about leaving a positive impact on the world. And so that's something that I've definitely found at BC, and I found that the student body as a whole really values that, which is what I was looking for. You can get into those deep conversations with people. You have your friends and your peers are really interested in doing service and doing these trips and learning more about systemic issues in the world and in our community. And so it really has provided a great space for these conversations and for these reflections, as well as resources to kind of take these values and implement them into our lives at BC and then off campus in the rest of the world after we graduate. So it's been a great experience. I've absolutely loved the campus ministry experiences that I've had with retreats and organizations like that, the Jesuits that I've been able to have as professors and mentors. It's just been a great experience and everything I was looking for.
Great. How about one of my public school graduates?
Sure. I can talk a little bit about the flip side of things coming from public school. I wasn't married one way or another to a public, private, religiously affiliated university or not. But during the process, I think BC began to stand out. Largely part because of the Jesuit values. That is, a central facet of the university. I think that identity really reflected itself across the most important aspects of the process for me, and has continued to do so today. Just thinking about the idea that the school really places an emphasis on one of the buzzwords or phrases that you'll hear a lot on campus is the development of the whole self. I think that was, a huge selling point to me, and something that continues to make me proud to be an Eagle today, is that beyond just, whatever you're majoring in, Boston College as a community does a great job of pulling you in and allowing you to develop across a variety of different aspects. And I think that was really something that made me want to be a part of the business school here too, because there was a real identity associated with the school beyond the quote unquote Wall Street stereotype that you might think of when you think of what an undergraduate business school environment is like. Stepping into Fulton Hall, which is the business school's academic building on campus, in the fall of my freshman year, the first class that all undergraduate business students take is Portico, which is a fancy name for what is essentially a business ethics class, but is, I think, really unique to BC in that you wouldn't really associate business ethics with the core curriculum of an undergraduate business school across the United States, whereas that's the first thing you're being exposed to here at Boston College. And it does a great job. All the professors are excellent in really emphasizing the moral and ethical considerations that have to go along with being involved in the business world. And I think, right off the bat, that made me realize that, I'm at a school that's really special, and that's going to focus on helping me develop into the best person that I can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great answer. So let me just, because we want to make sure that we address a couple of issues that are New Jersey specific. Sophia, you were worried about not being able to see your mom just 40 minutes away. Do you see your mom? Like, how often do you come home from Boston back to New Jersey?
Yeah, so I come back pretty much for every break. I don't know if we're having a fall break in the future, but we're not next year. But so I'll come back for Thanksgiving, for winter break, spring break, and Easter break. And that is plenty of mom for me. No, I love my mom. Actually, one of the best things about kind of moving away was that, I mean, like, distance makes the heart grow fonder. You don't really understand that until it happens to you. But it was definitely, I made a lot of phone calls to my mom. I still do. It became her nagging me every day to me nagging her every day. But we're very fortunate being from New Jersey that it's pretty easy to get back down. I'm pretty much as south as you can get, and it's not the end of the world even if I drive. So it's very easy to come home if something were to happen and I needed to get back in a snap.
But no Popeyes. No. Oh, Sophia, I was just in the neighborhood.
I know, my sister goes to school in Philly, and my mom does that to her all the time.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. So, I mean, I love my mom, but it's nice to, kind of have my own little space.
Okay. For others of you, like being from New Jersey, tell me a little bit about the people that you've met. Number one, do people give you grief about being from New Jersey? And you can address that however you like. But second is, are your friends all from the East Coast? Do you have friends from California? Do you have international friends? Like, think about your closest group, maybe your roommates right now. Like, where are they from? Where are the people that you've fallen in with? Are they from all over, or are they from certain places?
Yeah, I think my friend group is kind of all over the place. We have a couple people from California, Massachusetts, and one of our friends is from Indiana, and then New Jersey as well. So it's really nice to we all kind of bring our different perspectives too. And I remember we were walking up to Newton Center from from Newton Housing freshman year, and we sat and we just talked about different phrases that people would say and kind of connected that way. Somebody from Massachusetts was saying, oh, like we say wicked a lot. I noticed that during my time at BC. We were just kind of talking about just small differences in different places that people kind of associate with each of our prospective places. And it's really nice too, because you can always talk to people from New Jersey, but everybody from New Jersey, I feel, kind of has a different perspective and different background story as well. So you can kind of mix and meet a whole bunch of people that aren't from New Jersey, and then also always find somebody from New Jersey to talk to as well.
Right, right. People who are coming from Jersey are going to drive and move in. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me something that these people don't need to make room for in the car? A big mistake that you made, maybe by bringing something you didn't need, or what's best to bring that you forgot. Let's do a public service for people that are going to be driving to move into their dorm freshman year. Maybe a big mistake or something that you forgot to include.
Definitely for me, both Megan and I moved in. My parents drove us, and we were under the assumption we would need everything but the kitchen sink. So that is not the case freshman year. We thought we needed 2 cars. So my mom drove one, my dad drove the other. We put down all the back seats, and we had like an ironing board. You're not good at iron in college. Just all these things that you're like, well, what if I need like a seat? You don't need a seat. Like, you'll get a desk and a seat. You'll have like drawers to put your clothes in. So definitely just go of the mindset of just bring what you think is appropriate, and then also there's a Target nearby if you forget something. So and also you're so close that the next break, maybe you come home and you go back, you can drive up, and if you forgot something, you can bring it. So it's not the end of the world if you don't bring everything.
Anybody else have another tidbit of advice?
I would say in terms of like trying to plan out your room, it's always never a bad thing to just plan things out with your future roommates, like dividing and conquering basically, especially for the big things. If you're looking to have like a mini fridge or a TV, video games, stuff like that, it's always easier when you guys can just coordinate that a lot more efficient. And then in terms of like packing, one nice thing about the proximity to New Jersey is that you don't have to pack for the full semester, especially if you know you're going home for Thanksgiving or something like that, and you're driving home, your parents are picking you up, whatever mode of transportation it might be. You can swap clothes, so I wouldn't pack all of my winter clothes moving in August because I know that I can go
Right.
home or have my parents, bring them up, whatever, that system might be. Parents' weekend's another great time for that too, to swap out the shorts for pants, different logistical switches like that.
That's good advice. And another piece of advice, many people that are going to view this or watching us right now, the portal for housing opened on April 15th. Any advice on the finding of your first year roommate? Should I guess that the sisters didn't live together or did live together?
We did live together.
Okay, so if you're not going with your sister or your sibling, any good method that you use to find a good roommate in your first year?
I actually just did the random roommate. That's what most of my friends did. Pretty much everyone I know freshman year went random. So you'll fill out like a survey about your sleeping habits, studying habits, just kind of how you like your room and things like that. And then I have not heard one bad match that was made, at least in my dorm freshman year. Everyone was pretty happy with their roommate in terms of just living arrangements and things like that. One of my friends actually, they were random roommates assigned freshman year, and they were roommates all 4 years, and they're best friends. So it will probably work out in your favor. So don't be afraid to do the random roommate match. That's what me and all my friends did, and it's worked out for us. So
Okay, that sounds good. And with that, it's like there's our 45 minutes. Like just talking about BC and about life there and our friends. We filled up our time, but there was a lot of good information I thought that we discussed, specific to New Jersey, but also just general about life at Boston College that we're all anxious to get back to. So that's it. You guys were great. I really appreciated it. For those of you that are viewing, we still have a couple more programs for the rest of the month of April. Tomorrow is focus on the Carroll School of Management. Thursday, Tiffany Brooks will be joining us about a panel on the arts at Boston College. Next week, we're going to be talking about study abroad. We're going to be talking about community service opportunities, so the conversations can continue that way too. For my panel, we all miss you back at BC. Try to do the best you can. Stay healthy, stay safe. Hopefully, unfortunately, New Jersey and Massachusetts have had to deal with many the same issues, but hopefully we get on the other side of this stronger as a community. We look forward to seeing you guys back. Caroline, the diploma will be in the mail. We'll get it to you pretty soon.
I'll check. I'll keep my eyes out.
And keep an eye out for me when I get to see you back on campus in October. Anytime sooner for football game is fine. But I know I'll see you and a lot of my senior friends in the student admissions program in October. And congratulations on just about finishing up.
Yeah, I'll be back as soon as possible.
That sounds good. So to all of you that watch, thank you so much. My panel, thank you very much. We'll see you soon. And we'll see you guys in the future class of 2024, hopefully on campus as soon as possible, as soon as we possibly can. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, guys.